Tällä viikolla saahan tänne mielenkiintoinen vieras suoraan tuolta Yhdysvalloista itse asiassa, joten tämä jakso onkin nyt sitten englanniksi. Ja jos haluatte suomenkielisen tekstityksen, niin kannattaa painastaa automaattitekstitys päälle tuosta YouTubesta. And first of all, now we're gonna talk English in this episode. We have a 4 times pro woman Snowcross champion and last year's woman Snowcross world champion, Malene Cottew, straight from Minnesota. Here, welcome. I'm very honored.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So if there is someone who doesn't know you, please, who is Malene Cottew?
I think for the people that don't know me, I think I must kind of look intimidating from the outside because every time I get to know someone, they're like, oh, you're nothing like I thought you were going to be. I'm like, I feel kind of insulted, but I guess, I don't know, like maybe I just have like a resting bitch face. But I mean,
Okay.
as a person, I would say like I'm very like I care about everyone around me. Like my people are like the most important thing for me, and just like keep my circle kind of like small, and just like my people are good people and they care about me, and I guess that's the person I am and what I kind of do. Just, I don't know, care about like what I love, and I love racing, and I love my people, and I love the gym, and I guess that's who I am as a person.
So how did your Snowcross journey begin? I'm really curious about this one.
I actually started off with just going to like a race in my hometown with my dad, and he was the starting line guy, and I was just watching, and then we went to Karasjok to the Easter race, and I was watching the girls, and I'm like, okay, this looks kind of fun. I'd want to do that. I want to beat them. I want to like, and I never really, like, we had a snowmobile at my grandparents' like farm growing up, but we were just like using that as a toy, you know, just drive around and like ski behind it or whatever. But then one day I was like, okay, my dad like kind of got on board, and we borrowed a sled, and that's kind of just how it started. And I just tried it out, and I really liked it, and I kind of like did good in the beginning. So, I mean, that was kind of it. And then I had my first season in 2010.
Okay, and that was on Norway?
That was in Norway, yeah, with Polaris.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got a contract with Polaris and with Scott for like my gear and stuff. So that was kind of cool, I remember. So that's kind of like way back when it started.
So first year, and you got a sled from Polaris, clothing and gear from Scott. How this is possible? First year.
Like, obviously, it wasn't like a full ride kind of deal, but like the local dealership helped us out, and they reached out to like Polaris, and then we kind of set up a deal and kind of worked in my favor. So obviously, it was all because of the local dealer. But I started off on like the IQRR, which wasn't like the race sled itself. It was like a replica. So it was very hard to turn and whatever. So I did that for a few years. And then I finally like got to step up and get the IQR after a while. And the Scott thing was also same that with the dealer. Like they kind of like also set that up for me. So that was cool.
So it's kind of normal sponsorship on your early years, I think.
Yes, for sure.
So did you imagine the picture that you're going to be a professional driver?
Oh, no, not at all. Nothing like, never thought I was going to go to America. Never like, no. Like I had like I started off with like, oh, I want to win the Norwegian championship. And like, then there was like this mid series kind of like in the middle of Norway, and you know, and then we did a lot of like the Finnish races up, like every single race up north we basically did, like Sweden, Finland, and so you never really had a thought of like it was gonna like go to anything other than just something between me and my dad as a hobby.
So how did you motivate yourself to make it a professional career?
I I don't even know. Like, obviously, like, once I started racing, then it was, like, kind of like my dad. He was like, well, if we're going to do this, if we're, like, going to go through all the cost of it, then you got to, like, put in the work. So I started off, like, going to the gym in the morning because I didn't know anything about the gym or what I was doing, but my dad did. So I went with him at, like, 6 in the morning. Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. So he that's the only time he could do it, like before work and whatnot. So that's kind of how that started. And then I don't know. Something lives in me.
That sounds professional athlete schedule. So how old you were on those days? 14, 16, then?
When I came here?
No, when you started to make it go.
My first year as a pro was in 2017. So I don't even know how old I was then. 27. Yeah.
Under 18? Yeah?
I don't know. 2017. No, I must have been, because how many years did that ago? No, I must have been like
I need to calculate also.
Mid-20s. Probably like 24 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you going, did you say 2017 was the first year in States?
Yes. That was,
okay.
That was my first year as a pro over here.
Where they find you to the States? What was the journey to the States?
Well, I kind of I just came over here to watch some races with my then boyfriend because he was racing too. And then we went to practice, and then the team that he was racing for had a sled, and they're like, oh, I hear that you ride at home. Do you want to try to ride a sled? And so then I did, and he's like, oh, you should race this weekend. And I was freaking out because my dad wasn't there, and I've never raced without my dad. And the race was 3 days out and whatever. But so I ended up doing that, and that was kind of my ticket in to that team, because then I got on the podium, and that's kind of, then I made some money for them, so that's kind of how it started.
That sounds amazing. Because they give you the first lead like this, and then oh, you can try it. Let's see what happens, and then first of all to the podiums and stuff. How does that feel?
Yeah, that was kind of nuts. And then it was Marika. She obviously she was here and she won that race, and it was just, I don't know. It was super cool, because I never thought when I came here that I was gonna come home and say that I actually I rode a sled. I was very lucky getting that chance. So I've always been whenever there's a chance, if you want to race here, whenever there's a chance, you kind of just got to grab it, because as a girl, you don't really get that chance a lot.
Yep. So just before we go to your professional career, tell me some good memories from the early years. Is there any funny things, or is it just training and driving?
No, I think looking back at when I'm here and I'm in the midst of it and everything's so serious and my family's not here, I think my favorite memories obviously from that time is forever going to be the time I got to spend with my dad. And just all the memories we created, and I was so lucky that he could take time off work or bring work with him, and I got to ride snowmobiles, and I got to see so many cool things. I got to know so many people, and I got to do it with my dad and get to know him better, and it's now every time we go somewhere, it's oh, me and my dad, we slept over there at that parking lot in our motorhome, and we were I've been here and I've been here. So it's all those things that I got to do with my dad. And it's obviously my favorite things. And then on top of that, it's obviously you can say my first Arctic Cat Cup win, or when I got my first time I raced Arctic Cat Cup, I got third, but I did it with a I broke my hand first corner and I kept racing, So it's there's all those racing memories, but I think to my core, it's always going to be the time I got to spend with my dad.
So is it a stupid question to ask about your role models from the early years? I think it's your dad.
Yeah, like in life, it's always going to be like both my mom and my dad, because I just always want to like be like them as people. They're very good people, but like and I've always looked up to my sister so much. She got the brains. She's very smart.
Okay.
And then for racing, it would be like that's a total different side of it, you know.
So she got the brains and you get the power.
Mm-hmm.
Was it that way?
Yeah, basically. Kind of. I got the more like the wild side, and like I'm more of a doer, and she's more of like a. I don't know how to. I guess I'm more like impulsive than she is.
I just hope that she doesn't listen us because I said that. Hello, Malene's sister.
She's always got the bad end of the stick, you know, just sitting in the background. Oh, here we go again. Talk about Malene. Okay.
That's amazing. Oh my God. Now I'm the idiot.
No.
Let's talk about your racing career and achievements. And now you're 4 times champion. And you competed on the highest level in Snowcross, I think so. So what are the highlights from your career so far?
Well, you know, there's so many. Like, you can look at the small things or like the big things, but it's always like, obviously, like my first championship was a big highlight. And then my first, like the world championship is also a big highlight. And then I think every time you like, even like winning a race after I broke my tailbone, like that's a big highlight. And just like every time you like do something that kind of you're like mind blown about, I guess. And there's just so many things, like even like signing with 1-3 Motorsports, that's forever going to be one of my biggest highlights too, you know? And yeah, there's so much that comes that like you can make a full list of the highlights that you have as an athlete, I think. And my first ISOC win was obviously like one of the coolest things on the planet. That was such a big thing because I had gotten so many second place and I'm like, this is so stupid. And then, so we do 16 races. And then in race 14, I was like this close. And that feeling I had is like, okay, we're getting somewhere. And then come next race weekend, then I swept that weekend. And it was just like a mind blowing feeling.
Where was it? The first one?
That was in Lake Geneva.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was weird that I ended up like sweeping. So I won both Friday and Saturday, and it was just I was on top of the world that weekend. Yeah, that was super cool. And at the same time, like with that, I also had like shin splints because I've never rolled that much my entire life. And I came home and I ended up having a fracture in both of my legs, basically like stress fractures from riding so much, basically. So that was weird. Weird deal.
A little bit weird, yeah. Well, what was that feeling after the finish line? Just after the finish line, when you realized that you're the first one.
I cried, instantly cry and just scream and my parents was there, so that was amazing.
Okay.
And yeah, it's hard to put into words, I think. That's something you can just feel and you can't really describe it. Just overwhelming.
Did you get those feelings afterwards also? And other competitions and races? I
think like you can never like that first win, nothing like you can never like repeat that. Like it's not the same. Like I won Saturday night was not the same as when I won that night in 2017. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I'm a lot of wins down the road.
So you have an amazing career in Snowcross, but you had faced a little bit challenges also in the past years. So you also told about those challenges, but what was the worst challenge in your career? It's not just winning, it's challenging.
I don't, there's a lot of things, like obviously like all the injuries itself is challenging, but then when you add it all up and like you wake up in the morning and everything hurts and you're like, why am I doing this? And like, I think those are like the challenges that turns into a mental challenge when you're like, every single day is just a struggle. And I've been struggling so much. Like I don't even like, I think I can count on like one hand how many times I've raced, and I've been 110%. So, and that goes for a lot of racers. So it's like, I don't know. It's a tough road being a snowcross racer, I think.
It is. And I'm a little bit older than you, and not just a little bit. I'm a kind of old guy, and it hurts every morning to wake up. Actually, I'm an old racer also, and I had a huge crash 2 years ago, and it hurts still. But what keeps you going? It hurts every morning. What keeps you going?
Honestly, I don't really know, because like one day I'm like, okay, I'm so done with this. Everything hurts. I'm so sick of being in pain, or just like, and then if I'm like whatever, then I get sick, or like my body just shuts down and say, okay, you need a break. So like I said, there's just something in me that just lives in me and just wants me to keep going. Because I honestly, I don't think I have an answer to it, because I don't really understand it myself. I love racing. I love what I do, but the sacrifices that we make of like how many injuries we're pushing through, or like, I don't know.
This is your full-time job, so is it worth it?
Yeah, I think so. Like if it wasn't worth it, if the reward wasn't bigger than what I put in, then I would say like, no. The day I wake up and I'm like, okay, like I think that's going to be like when I feel like the reward isn't giving enough, then it's not worth it anymore. But for where I'm at right now, and I have a lot of fun and I love what I do and stuff like that, then yeah, it's worth it for sure.
This Snowcross is very physical, very, very physical. And it's very hard for your mental health also, because on your own professional level. So how you keep your head cool?
I have a mental coach that like I'll text him and I'll be like, SOS, like I need help. And like that doesn't happen a lot, but once in a blue moon, I like text him and I'm like, okay, now I'm spiraling, because it's such a side that no one sees, like what you push through. And we've been talking a lot about it lately, how I'm under so much pressure with being like a 4-time champ, and like there's so many eyes on me and like expectations and stuff like that. And that's it's a very mentally challenging whatever thing, but it's all I know. Like this is the situation I'm in right now. And then like when I try to lift it off and be like, and look from the outside in and be like, wow, you are under a lot of pressure, then I'm like, holy crap, that's insane. But I think for right now, it's more so this is my life. Like this is how I live, and I don't know anything else. But I think maybe when I'm done and I look back at it, and then I can be like, wow, that was crazy. Like that was a lot of pressure. And I also put so much pressure on myself because I don't really believe in myself, and that also kind of ruins it for me.
Okay.
So I think having my coach, and also I had to like kind of cut out a lot of people, like not in a bad way or whatever, but just kind of like protect my energy and who I listen to and who I talk to and who I allow to say stuff or whatever, because it is so mentally challenging.
That's true. And I'm always curious about those professional athletes in snowcross that how can you relax when you're on a racing season? How do you do it?
You don't. Like, honestly, you don't. And it's crazy because, like, I look at my mother-in-law and she's just running from place to place and, like, getting on a plane and doing this and doing that. And I'm like, wow. But then I do the exact same thing. And I can talk on, like, I can look at her and be like, oh, but that's all she knows. And it's the same for me. Like, this is what I know. This is what I do for 6 months out of the year. It's all like back and forth back. I was trying to write like a list to immigration of how many times I've been in and out of the country or whatever. And then I look at it and it's like, okay, I went 3 days to Spain and then I was in Canada for 4 days and then I did this and everything happened in like, and then I went to Norway and everything happened in like, I don't know, like 3 weeks. And it's all we know. Like, we just go. And then once it's done, then you literally go into like a depression where you're like, okay, what are we going to do now?
How much, in these days, how much social media is inflecting your relaxation or something?
Like, in what way?
Do you feel any pressure from the social media, or because that's the main marketing and it's good for your personal brand and your athlete brand? So how do you feel about social media?
The pressure is there for sure. I think especially like for me as a girl and as a coach, and there's always like the comments about like, can you eat that? Can you do that? Or like, oh, she like lost so much weight, or like, you know, a lot of those things as a girl.
Yep.
But and that is very tough. I've been struggling with that a lot, with just having so many people say so much and like what to post, what not to post, what to caption it, what like, you know, and like then you have like all the eyes of the younger girls looking at me and I don't want to say anything stupid or like come off in one way and blah, blah, blah. But then my teammate actually told me like that I was nothing like he thought I was, because he only like known like, yeah, we've raced like in the same circuit, but we never knew each other up until now. And he's like, basically just based off of Instagram, he thought I was a whole different person. And
Okay.
and I don't know, because I'm like, how, like, what did I do? And then I'm like, what am I posting? And I don't know. So there's like a very high pressure with that. So I've been like trying to tell myself that it's not a big deal and just post whatever I want to post. But it's also, like I said, I kind of have a certain responsibility of like not doing anything stupid on there, because there's so many like little eyes looking at me too, you know? And that's mainly what I care about, to like send out a good message rather than like, I don't know. There's always going to be people talking smack anyway, so.
Yeah. And you don't have to care about them because...
No. No, you don't. But there is like that one day where you get that one comment where you're just like, wow, you know?
That's a stupid one. I know that feeling also, because I work on a social media, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I read all those comments and respond them always. And I've been doing this like 20 years in Finland, and be in front of the audience and in front of the people. So I can feel you about those comments and stuff, but that's really stupid, because I think that people just don't care.
No. It is weird, like how people just sit at home and like they can see things from one angle. And then like when I won my first championship in 21 is kind of when I stopped having anything to do with comments on any social media and what people like my posts I can see sometimes, and my DMs, but like Snowcross's like comments and like what people put on there, because that was such a low for me, which should have been a high. So then that's kind of when I'm like, okay, because I was laying in my room crying the day after I just won the first championship. And you kind of just got to protect yourself because you can't really get away from that because everyone that is going to be on one side having one opinion, and then there's going to be like, there's always going to be people looking in. So like I said, to me, I think it's more just worrying about myself and what I show to the younger eyes out there, basically.
You have been a trailblazer for women in Snowcross. This is a good question after this one. So there's a young girls and juniors dreaming of racing career and do it professionally, especially on stage. So any advice for these girls or boys or men's?
Well, for girls, I've always been like pro, like you got to train. Like the thing that like we can't muscle, like even with this weekend's race, I was like, God, I just wish that we could like muscle the sled around so you can like basically if the track's one line and you can kind of like create a new line just because of how you can turn the sled around. So I think for girls, it's like just we got to work out. I know a lot of people have like been like not really liking the way I train because I like lift a lot of weights and they say you got to like do like CrossFit training and blah, blah, blah. But I think you got to find what you like and how you are comfortable. But for girls, I'm always like, you need to be strong. Like that's the main thing. You got to be strong to protect yourself from injuries, but you got to be strong because you are throwing around like 250 kilos out there. And the stronger you are, the better you can do that. And then just focus on yourself too. Like I wish I was more just not like more carefree right away but you also like got to accept help from other people. But I don't know. It's a fine line with everything. But I mean, it's a selfish sport.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
So how much do you train in a week?
Obviously, it depends on like time of the year. Like when we're in season or when I'm like preseason or like lower, like right after season. People always like, oh, you need to take a break or whatever. But the only time I take a break from training is when I get sick. Because I think I push myself always to the point where my body's like, okay, now you're sick. Now you got to stop. So after Deadwood, I was laying on the couch for 2 weeks because my body was just saying stop. Up until like Friday at Valcourt for practice, I was also just dead. It was so painful. And then come Saturday, I was like, then my body's like, okay, you're ready. Like it was lingering, but like the fact that I was racing, no arm pump and everything was just perfect. It was like my body just needed some kind of break. It's super weird.
It is kind of weird.
So like, I don't know. I train, like I said, it depends on like what time of the year. Like obviously preseason, you're going to train harder than what you do post-season. And then in season, I kind of just got to listen to my body. Like, but in a normal week, I'll get up in the morning, I'll go to the gym, I'll come home, I'll eat, and then I'll go to the track and then I'll ride. But then let's say the next day I'm like too sore, I rode super hard, then I'm like, okay, I should probably skip the gym today and then just ride or kind of just like see. And then we travel so much. Like yesterday I didn't train because I didn't sleep the night before because I was awake all night in the airport, So depends. But I train every day.
Every day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Unless there's something going on. But it's not like I go to the gym and I lift weights every day, like it's a fine line between your head and your body because your head wants to do so much and then your body can't take you. You can't go to the gym and do legs 5 times a week, Yeah. So some workouts are like I used to do a lot of biking, but then with my tailbone, I haven't been able to bike for 2 years, So.
That sounds weird.
Yeah.
That sounds a little bit weird that you can smile on your face that, okay, another day I ain't going to gym, I'm just riding. And the next day I'm going to gym and then just riding after eating. And in Finland, when I was training, I was like, okay, one riding in a week, 4 times in the gym, and I'm exhausted, old man. So that sounds funny for me, and I can say it sounds funny for the audience and the listeners.
But I am learning. Like I know I'm kind of like a different breed, but it's also like being a girl, and like training is good for my mental health, you know.
Yeah.
But there's, I don't know. Like I like to train. Like I said, my body will tell me you need to put the brakes on. If not, we're gonna do it for you. But I actually also did make a post on my private story on Instagram. I have like a own like training. If people wanted to follow it, I made like a new thing so I don't bug like my snowmobile followers with my training stuff. And I actually did make a post last week where I was at the gym and I was super like not motivated to be there. This time of year is so hard because you travel and then you eat weird and you're not on a schedule, but still you got to keep your body moving. But when you're not on a set schedule for like lifting, then it's like, why do I have to stand here and squat right now? But
that sounds amazing. Sounds kind of strange, and I'm really curious that how can you party on your racing season and have time with your friends and stuff?
You don't. Like you basically don't, because you don't have time. Like if I have an off weekend, we had a regional race, I think last weekend or whatever. But my boss asked me if I wanted to ride, and I'm like, honestly, no, I need a break. Like I need a mental break. And I went home for a couple days and I went to like the ditch banger and just like hang out, see my friends and whatever. But you can't, because it's like this weekend I also have a weekend off and my friends wants to come down to Milwaukee and go to like the bull riding, and then I'm like, I don't know if I can, because it's all about, okay, do I want to like go and do something fun, and not like I won't go there and like party my butt off, like that's not it. It's more like just see my friends and be social, or do I want to like relax and watch a movie?
Yeah.
Because we always do so much. So it's like, it's a fine line. But with like going to the ditch banger and like going to the rodeo this weekend, is more of like, I got to tell myself that, okay, I need to stop and catch my breath and see my friends, because it is important. Because then I probably will race better, come into ERX when I've fueled my body and my mind with hanging out with my friends, rather than always just sitting in my little bubble. And you know, it's tough. It's very tough.
Is. I can imagine that it is. And you're so focused on your career and training and stuff. And I can say that that's a good advice also for all the young drivers, that concentrate on driving.
You gotta like push yourself to do those things too, because it is important. But it's like, I have good teammates that I hang out with, like our mechanics I hang out with, and like we have a lot of fun just being in the team. But then like last year for Easter, that was like right before the finals, and we went down to Florida and I literally like hit a wall, because I had been so unsocial that when I finally got into a social setting, I was still so focused on, okay, I got to train, I got to eat healthy, I got to do this, I got to do that. And then we were like eating a little unhealthy and like being a little off schedule. And I literally hit the wall. I'm like, I don't know how to do this, because I just want to be on my schedule. So it's a scary place to be. So it's very important to like take care of both sides of it, I think.
But I think it's on-season mindset that you got, because that's you. That's your lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just you.
That's what you do. You don't want to drift far away from that either, because then that's also like what I do and how I know it. Like it works for me, you know? So you got to find what works for you, because you need to care about being in racing, not caring about, okay, I got to hang out with my friends and check up on my friends, you know? They're all kind of used to this life.
Yep. So that's why they are your friends.
Exactly.
So, do you think the snowcross or motorsport industry is moving the right direction? Because there's lots of female riders in these days. What do you think about that?
I think we've kind of like been in a little hole, basically. It's been going down. Like you look at the pros, there's not as many pros, and like with how expensive everything in this world is and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, overseas, they're doing a great job and there's so many racers and like everyone wants to improve and like we want to make the sport better, but we're just in a very tough spot right now. And then with the winter we had last year, there wasn't as many like snowmobiles that was sold from the dealerships, and that affect us as race teams because there's no money, you know?
Yeah.
So I think like overseas, they're doing a very good job. My dad's super pissed over here about the transponder system and can't see the timing and blah, blah, blah. But yet over there, they have it like 4 spots on the track or something like that. But at least we have like a camera view from everything here. So it's a tough spot we're in right now. But I'm hoping like with how many younger riders there is, I'm hoping that we're kind of like climbing up. But it's like, you know, with the money situation and everything, it's just tough.
It is. So we all know you from the social media, and I don't say this, but you said this, that lots of people don't maybe know you behind the scenes, and you said the resting peach face, not me. So tell us something that fans rarely see or understand from you. Is there some funny parts or...
I think it's just more of like kind of how I opened up with like how people always judge me of like thinking that I'm in a certain way, or like, oh, that's Malene Cottew and she posts this, so she thinks she's like this and whatever, like. And that's like I can post something, but I'm not meaning it. And like people may be reading something in a negative way, but it's not like I'm not taking like dabs at anyone or like, I don't know. I'm always up for a conversation, and I always help the other girls. Like they're not like, some of them are not even asking, but I'll go up and I'll be like, hey, you should do this, like do this and like whatever. And then they're like, oh my God, thank you. So I think it's more so like, it's so easy for people to just judge you from the outside rather than actually get to know you as a person, or like even try to talk to you or try something, rather than just being like, oh, I don't like her for absolutely no reason, you know?
That's strange, because I've seen you a few times in Finland and in Nordic, so it's always fun to talk to you. And I was always like this. Okay, Malene is a kind of relaxed girl. So what's going on? Yeah.
But it's also about like being an athlete, and you're like busy, and people are, oh, I don't want to bug you, and blah blah blah. But it's like, I'm cool unless I like just crashed and I got snow everywhere, and I kind of just want to go to my trailer. Then that's kind of a bad situation. Like I'm not going to yell at you, but I'm going to be like, hey, I really got to go.
Yeah.
But it's all about like when you catch some. I was watching the press conference from Supercross yesterday, and you see like Sexton sitting there and he just keeps his head down. He don't really want to talk to anyone, and that's fair. It doesn't mean that he's a douchebag. He just had a shitty race and he just wants to go home, you know? So it's all about when you kind of like talk to someone, but it's just there's a lot of judgment. It is what it is.
And you got your YouTube channel and the 2 Cottews, and there's lots of vlogs and videos. So is there the real Malene, the funny one?
There is a lot of that. That is, I would say, that is like the pure Malene. We wish that we had like more, literally like more camera people, so we can like have it going the whole time. Because it's a big job for like Casey to do by himself, and I give him all the credit in the world. But like, I don't even know how it would be if Cole was racing, you know? How would we, because at this point, it's more of like just, like, it's my vlog. Cole's just helping out, you know? So I don't even know how it would be if he was racing because there's so much going on. So it's hard to like get the real deal right away. But there is for sure, like, I'm not putting on some kind of face for the vlog or trying to act like something I'm not. That's who I am, you know?
And that's a good one.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what we've been trying. Like, our vlog has changed so much. Like, we started off with like using GoPros, and then we used our phones, and like now I feel like it's the best it's ever been with Casey really stepping up, and he's trying to be everywhere, and with the new mics. And Cole was like, I think it's important that we have people get to know you as the person that you are. Like, I want them to see the character that you are. But it's like I said, it's just tough, but it's never that I put on a face or like try to be someone I'm not, because I want people to see who I am. If you don't like it, then no one's forcing you to watch my vlog, you know? I wish there was more. Like, I wish we could get more of the real deal and the heated moments, but it's tough.
You can do a podcast.
Yeah, I could. I could do that. We've talked about that. Me and Tasha has been talking about maybe we should make a podcast, but I don't really know what we'd talk about.
That sounds good. You can try, of course.
Yeah.
I'm the only one in Nordic, so that's a funny thing. You had your market on the States. You had your market on States.
No, exactly. I have to keep it over here.
Yeah. So, what's been the craziest or the most unaccepted things that happens to you in the race event? Did you got any of those?
Yeah, a few of those. I was trying to like think how to like what I would say about that, but I think for sure one of the wildest things I've been through is, because there's like, I think like three things that pops to my mind, but the highest one is obviously Sioux Falls 2 years ago. I was sleeping and all of a sudden everyone's come running. I get phone calls, and then Cole's hurt and he's in the mobile medical, and there's blood everywhere, and we have no clue what's like how bad it is or whatever, and I basically got to just say goodbye in the ambulance, and then I got to go get geared up and go race my final. So that was one of like obviously the craziest thing I've ever been through. And then with Elias's accident was a crazy moment, like everything went down or whatever, but then leaving him in the hospital, coming home, and then me and Marcus heading down to our practice track, and Marcus is pushing me to go ride, and I did a lap and I just burst out in tears, and it just felt so wrong doing that when Elias was in the hospital, because we've done this together for so long, and like, so it's those like crazy things that you got to push through. With Cole in the hospital, felt so, I was too like in the situation, like, because I was in and out of the hospital. I had to drive to Sioux Falls, and then I had to like go race. Like, you're kind of like in a fight or flight, and all I was thinking about, and I was hurt at that point too, so I didn't get to practice. But then with Elias, I would like went to the compound, and you like get to think, and I'm like, this is so wrong. So those things are like, for sure.
How did you get your head cool in that situation? You're a tough woman, because that's a crazy situation, and that's a crazy story. That after that you just had to ride and race, and it's not okay for you. So how did you keep your head cool?
I don't know. It's like I said with Cole, like I was so in the situation, and then I had broke my tailbone. He got hurt like 3 weeks or something after I broke my tailbone. So I was like mid like injury, and no, like I said, no sleep, because I was in the hospital with him all week, and like you lay next to him, and I'm like, oh, he's moving, I got to do something. But at that point, like, I didn't have really too much time to think. I was just doing it. And with the race, I was just trying to get it done so I could head back to the hospital. And you don't think you're just there, like long nights, long this, but also I have a good team. I have good people around me like that take care of everything. So I don't have to like take care of anything. And like I said, with the Elias, I had way too much time to think. And I just, that first day back, I just did that moto. I was crying. It was so bad. And I talked to him, and then I just went out and I did a full moto that was like half good. And then Mark's like, okay, you're done. You did it. Let's just go home.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think it's with everything in life. Like something happens and that's the situation you're in, and you just do it. Like, this is my job. This is what I do. This is what I love. So it's like, you just do. Like maybe some people wouldn't, but
I think that because you're the professional racer, that when you put the helmet on, you forget everything else but racing.
No, exactly. And I've seen that where some people have stuff going on in their private life and they put the helmet on and they just can't perform. Where to me, that's mind-blowing, because my head, there's so much going on all the time. So when I put my helmet on, it's me and my sled and my snowmobile, and nothing can like mess that up, because that's my time to just not think or not do anything. But obviously, like the Elias one, that was weird. That was super weird. And then, yeah, some days are different, but when it comes to racing, when I race, I race.
So that is also a good advice for younger girls and all juniors and all riders, that when you put the helmet on, you're with your sled, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's your escape from everything.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. So, is there any funny parts, like broken shoes or something on?
I don't know. I don't really have. I haven't had a lot of like weird things like that happen. I think it's more just my body being broke before I start out, and that's it. I don't have any. I had 1 year in Geneva. I had to race with like a motocross boot on my one leg because I broke my leg, and I still wanted to race so I could get like 3rd overall in the championship. And I think I took like 4 weekends off, or like 2 race weekends, 4 races off. And then once we got, and I could still manage to get 3rd if I like did good that last race weekend. So I was like kind of limping to my sled because it was like a size 45 motocross boot and super heavy, and just stuff like that. I don't have anything like crazy fun like stuff happening, just weird stuff like that where you just gotta, I don't know.
And that's a good thing.
Actually. Yeah, I'd say I'm very happy about that.
So let's look some forward in this season. What are your goals? Is it the 5th championship?
Yeah, that's where we're headed. So we got six races left. We just finished off in New York, and now we're headed to ERX next weekend, then Eagle River, and then Duluth. So I'm thinking that I'm just gonna keep I'm in a good streak right now after my DQ at Canterbury. So just gonna try to like keep building my points and stay on the sled, stay healthy, and keep winning.
Now you're a professional snowcross rider. So if we forget that one, what could be your job in these days if you were not a snowcross rider?
Obviously now I'm also an online coach, so that's like my sidekick right now, and that's the way I'm headed once I'm done. But if it wasn't for Snowcross, I don't even know where I would be. I would probably, my dad always said he wanted me and my sister to open up a clothing store and like do stuff like that, because I've worked at the clothing store in the town I'm from for like so many years, and I love it. I love like the part of like selling and like helping people and talk to people and blah blah blah. So I am a people person, and And I worked at like the skidoo shop in Alta when I lived there, and that was also like one of the greatest jobs I've ever had. So probably something in sales, I bet. Like, I don't know.
What was your dream job when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a flight attendant.
Okay.
Yep. Super weird, because now I'm like, I hate work. Like, why do we got to get on planes and do this and sit here for hours? And obviously that have gotten way worse after I broke my tailbone. Now I like dread flying. But yeah, that's so weird. And then I wanted to be a nurse at the ICU and see every crazy thing. You'd be hands-on. But now I'm like, I don't really like that. I'm done with like injuries and stuff like that. I've seen enough. So I wanted to be a flight attendant.
Oh, sounds good. If you know the story, it sounds good these days. But
yeah,
because you're flying a lot, so that's why I think that you're almost there. You have a professional career also in flying, so you're almost there.
I have all the experience. Coffee, tea.
Yeah. So what happens next after this season? Do you have a plan, or you're a coach? You get your coaching program and that kind of stuff. So what happens next?
Oh, yeah. I don't really know. It's going to be an interesting summer for sure within the family at home. So I'm very excited about that. I think that's what my whole summer is going to be about. And just keep training, keep doing what I'm doing, and focus on my business and making that grow. I have a lot of stuff I got to do for that this summer once I'm not racing. It's very hard to juggle. I thought it was hard to like juggle school and racing, but then now having clients that leans on me, and I gotta help them and support them. I'm gonna say that I've been lucky because I have amazing clients that makes it very easy for me. And like, I know you're racing, blah blah blah, but to me, I want to like deliver the best product I can. So like, that's always like a priority for me to get done before I like go practice or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Just keep doing what I'm doing.
Do you see your future in States, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, this is where I live. This is my home. This is where I have my husband and my puppies, you know. But it is tough. Like we just said, like we go for 6 months, and like that's all I know. So it's like, what happens when everything is silent? Like, what happens then? Like, it's a scary thing to think about. So I don't know. You never really know.
Don't think about it. No.
No, I'm just gonna.
I don't want to get you any ideas or something. So don't think about it. Don't think about it.
No, just take one step at a time. It's like I have a job that I can do from wherever I want, and that's kind of like why I went that route. So it's like, we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Malene. It was amazing. I'm so honored that you had time to visit in this podcast and tell all the audience and listeners that where you can be followed on Instagram, YouTube, all those channels.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was super honored to talk with you.
I'm happy. Like, I'm happy I get to like say something. Maybe people get to know me a little better. Not scary.